Divorced men. When DNA test came back, 0% match. How did she react when everyone found out? Story 1. I didn't ask for the DNA test to win. I asked because my lawyer slid the child support petition across the table and said, "If you sign this, you're signing your life away." My ex, Marissa, was smirking the entire mediation like she'd already spent the money. She told everyone I was abandoning my son. Her mom posted vague Bible quotes about men who run from responsibility. Even my brother texted, "Just do the right thing." The lab results hit my email at 6:12 a.m. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. I stared until my coffee went cold. Then I forwarded it to my attorney and said, "I'm done being polite." Court day, Marissa came in dressed like a grieving widow. She brought a friend for support. She sniffed into tissues for the judge. My lawyer stood up. "We have conclusive DNA results." Marissa laughed, like a little, confident chuckle. "He probably bribed someone." The judge read the number out loud. 0.0. The room made a sound I can only describe as a collective inhale. Her friend stopped patting her back. Marissa's face went paper white, then furious red. "That's impossible," she snapped. Loud enough the bailiff looked up. "He's the father." "He has to be." The judge asked if she had any explanation. She turned toward me like I'd personally sabotaged biology. You must be sterile or something." "The test is wrong." Then my attorney asked one question. "Would you like the court to order reimbursement for every payment made under false claims?" Her lawyer leaned in and whispered urgently. Marissa yanked her arm away and hissed, "Don't tell me what to do." Outside the courtroom, she tried to block the exit and begged me not to ruin her. When people in the hallway recognized us, her voice changed instantly. Sweet, tearful, victim. A court clerk walked by and said, quietly but clearly, "Isn't that the woman from the petition? The 0% one?" Marissa heard it. Her eyes darted to the stairs. And just like that, she stopped crying and started shouting. At me, at the clerk, at the universe. Because her whole story had died in public. Story 2. We were already divorced, but my ex, Tessa, still controlled the narrative like we were on a reality show. When she told me she was pregnant, she didn't even ask, she announced. "Congratulations," she said, like I should be grateful. "You're going to step up this time." I hadn't touched her in months before we separated. I said that calmly. She replied calmly too. "You always say you don't remember." Then she made it a spectacle. Baby shower posts. A single mom warrior caption. Comments filled with, "Men are trash." My aunt even sent me a lecture about being a real man. I requested a DNA test before I signed anything. Tessa told people I was forcing a child to prove he deserves love. The results came back. 0% match. I didn't post it. I didn't blast her. I forwarded it to her and said, "Please stop." She replied in all caps, "Fake." So my lawyer filed it officially. Here's what people don't tell you. Once it's in court, it becomes a mirror. The judge referenced the lab, the chain of custody, the signatures, everything. Tessa sat there with this frozen smile, like she was waiting for applause. When the judge said, "Mr. is not the biological father," Tessa's smile twitched, like her face forgot the script. Then she did something I'll never forget. She looked around at the gallery. She was checking for allies. For someone to jump up and say, "This is unfair," nobody moved. Her best friend, who'd been posting paragraphs about me, didn't even meet her eyes. Tessa stood up too fast and said, "He made me look bad." The judge blinked. "Ma'am, you made claims. The evidence contradicts them." Outside, she started calling people immediately, not to apologize, to manage damage control. "I was tricked," she said into the phone. "I thought it was him." But by then, the courthouse gossip had already spread. Even the security guard at the door said, 0%? That's wild." Tessa heard him. Her shoulders dropped like someone finally unplugged the performance. And for the first time in years, she didn't look powerful. She looked exposed. Story 3. My ex, Lauren, didn't just want child support. She wanted humiliation. She wanted me branded. She filed in our small town where everybody knows everybody, and she told my boss I was refusing to provide for my baby. My boss pulled me aside like I was a criminal. I asked for a DNA test. Lauren agreed instantly, too instantly. Like she wanted the test because she thought it would trap me tighter. The day the results came in, I was at work. My lawyer texted, 0%. I sat in the break room staring at vending machines like they were going to explain how someone can lie that confidently. Court was scheduled for Friday. By Thursday night, half the town already knew I was trying to weasel out. Then Friday happened. The judge read the results and you could feel the air shift. Lauren's lawyer looked like he'd been punched. Lauren's mom made this choking sound, like she swallowed her own outrage. Lauren whispered, No. The judge asked if there were any objections. Lauren stood up and said, loud, he switched the samples. The lab representative was on the call. Calm voice. Ma'am, the chain of custody was maintained. Identification was verified. Lauren snapped, you're lying. The judge warned her. Lauren didn't stop. She kept talking, fast, frantic, because she didn't realize every word was digging the hole deeper. Then my attorney asked for a brief recess and handed the judge a packet. Receipts, bank transfers, texts where Lauren said, if you don't pay, I'll make sure everyone knows what you are. The judge's expression changed from neutral to disgusted. When we walked out, Lauren tried to corner me near the stairs. Please, she said, suddenly small. People are staring, and they were. This town loves a villain until the villain has a name tag. Someone behind us whispered, that's her. That's the one who lied. Lauren spun around and hissed, mind your business. But it was already everyone's business. She'd made it that way. By the time I got to my car, 2 people I barely knew nodded at me like I'd just been acquitted of murder. Lauren was still on the courthouse steps crying hard. Real crying. Because for once, the town wasn't watching me. They were watching her. Story 4. I used to think the worst part of divorce was losing the life you planned. Turns out it's watching someone rewrite you into a villain for entertainment. My ex Paige told people I was cold and incapable of love. Then she got pregnant and decided that was proof. She sent me a photo of the test and said, don't even try denying it. Everyone knows you. My parents were devastated. Her parents were triumphant. She started calling the baby his little copy, even before the ultrasound. I asked for DNA testing. She agreed, but she made sure everyone heard about it. Can you believe he's doing this to me? She told my sister at a family dinner. He's punishing me. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. The results came back 2 days before the hearing. 0% match. I sent Paige the PDF. No message. Just the file. She called immediately. Not crying. Not apologizing. Screaming. You ruined it, she shouted. You ruined everything, I said. I didn't ruin anything. I just asked for truth. At court, she arrived late, like she thought tardiness would create drama. She sat down, eyes puffy, and tried to make it look like I'd been cruel. The judge read the result aloud. Paige's head snapped up. She blurted, he's doing this because he hates women. The judge paused. Ma'am, this is a paternity determination. The lab is neutral. Paige looked around and realized nobody was nodding. Then, in the hallway, her own cousin, who had been blasting me online, asked quietly, Paige, who's the father? Paige's face did something strange, like rage and panic fighting for control. She said, it doesn't matter. Her cousin stared. It mattered when you wanted money. That line hit her like a slap. People nearby turned. Paige's voice rose. You're all against me? And that's when it clicked. She wasn't embarrassed about lying. She was furious that the audience had changed sides. She stormed out, and her heels echoed through the courthouse like punctuation. Later that night, her strong single mom posts disappeared one by one. But screenshots don't disappear, and neither does 0%. Story 5. My ex, Nina, was the kind of person who believed confidence could overwrite facts. She didn't just claim the baby was mine, she treated it like a legal verdict. She sent me a child support calculator link with the amount highlighted. She sent me a list of baby items I would be buying. She told me what day I'd be coming to appointments. When I asked for a DNA test, she smirked through the phone and said, sure, I can't wait to watch you look stupid. We met at the clinic. She brought her sister. I came alone. Nina kept whispering things like, get ready to apologize. 2 weeks later, the results dropped. 0% match. I was at my kitchen table. I laughed once, this shocked, ugly laugh. Then I just sat there feeling hollow. Because it wasn't just relief. It was grief. She had been willing to burn my name down for convenience. Here's where it got explosive. Nina had already told her entire office. She worked with half my friends' spouses. She'd created this poor Nina storyline so public that people were treating her like a saint. So when court confirmed the test, it wasn't private. It was a public correction. Nina tried to pull the fire alarm in the hallway before we went in. I wish I was joking. She stood near the door, eyes flicking around, and suddenly the alarm blared. Everyone evacuated. People muttered. The judge was furious. Security reviewed the camera footage. Guess who was right under the alarm box at the exact moment it went off? Nina. When we reconvened, the judge didn't just read the DNA result. He addressed the disruption. He asked Nina point blank if she understood the seriousness of manipulating proceedings. Nina started crying instantly. I'm overwhelmed, she sobbed. I'm scared. I'm alone, her sister whispered. Stop. And that's when her sister, said out loud in front of everyone, tell them the truth. You already know who it is. The room went silent. Nina's crying stopped like a faucet. Her eyes locked on her sister with pure hatred. You promised, she hissed. I didn't even speak. I didn't have to. Because in that moment, the 0% wasn't the biggest reveal. It was the fact that Nina had been lying with help, and the help had just quit, loudly, in public, with the whole courthouse listening. Story 6. I found out I was the father, the way you find out you're the villain in someone else's movie, through a group chat you weren't even in. My cousin called and said, Dude, why are people congratulating you? My ex, Kayla, had posted an ultrasound with a caption about strong moms, and tagged my last name without tagging me, like a smear with plausible deniability. I texted her, We haven't been together in months. She replied, Stop lying. The baby deserves stability. Then came the paper. Child support petition, filed fast. My attorney said, Do not react emotionally. Request DNA. Kayla acted delighted. Of course, she told the mediator. I want everyone to see what kind of man you are when the test proves it. The results came back 0% match. We were in court 2 days later. Kayla walked in wearing a white sweater, hair perfect, face set in that calm smile that says she's already won. Judge. Paternity probability, 0. Kayla's smile didn't fall right away. It froze, like her face had to reload. She laughed once. That's impossible. The judge asked if she contested the lab. The lab's affidavit was on file. Chain of custody confirmed. Kayla's lawyer leaned over and whispered. She snapped. No, he tampered. My lawyer pulled up Kayla's own text from the clinic. I'm so happy this will shut you up. The judge's eyes narrowed. Ma'am, did you have relations with other possible fathers during the conception window? Kayla shouted. That is none of your business. The court clerk behind me whispered. Oh my God. Loud enough for the gallery to hear. Outside, Kayla tried to grab my sleeve. Don't tell anyone, she said, voice shaking. Please. My job. But it was already out, because she'd made it public first. I checked my phone in the parking lot. Someone had already posted 0% DNA at the courthouse today. No names, but everyone knew. Kayla saw me looking and screamed, You did this! And for the first time, people looked at her like she was the danger. Story 7. My ex, Jasmine, didn't just claim the baby was mine. She used it as a weapon to get back into my life. She called crying, saying she was scared. Then 5 minutes later, she was cold. If you don't come over, I'll file and the judge will make you pay anyway. I agreed to meet at a coffee shop. She showed up with a friend filming on her phone, like she wanted footage of me refusing. Say it, she pushed. Say you'll be there for your child. I kept my voice steady. I'll be there for the truth. We do a DNA test. Her friend stopped recording. Jasmine smiled like a shark. Fine. The test came back 0%. I thought she'd be embarrassed. I thought she'd disappear. Instead, she doubled down online. He bribed the lab. He's trying to erase my baby. My lawyer filed a motion to dismiss and attach the report. The lab credentials, the signatures. Court day, Jasmine arrived with her friend again. Same phone, same fake sympathy face. Judge. Mister, he is not the father. Petition dismissed, Jasmine's friend whispered. Wait, what? Loud, confused. Jasmine snapped at her. Shut up! The judge looked up. Ma'am, control your behavior. Jasmine tried to pivot. He still promised he'd help me. He led me on, my attorney. We have recorded calls where she threatens to destroy him if he doesn't pay. Jasmine's face collapsed. Not into guilt, into rage. She stood up and yelled, Fine! I picked him because he has money. Is that what you want? Dead silence. Even her lawyer looked like he wanted to evaporate. Outside, she tried to laugh it off to people in the hallway. Misunderstanding. Crazy situation. But it landed flat. Because once a judge says 0%, nobody hears your spin. They hear the number. Story 8. I didn't even know about the baby until the letter arrived at my work address. My ex, Bree, had it sent there on purpose. It was a child support notice with "Respond immediately" stamped in red. My coworkers saw it. My manager saw it. Suddenly, I was that guy. Bree texted, Now you can't ignore me. We'd been divorced a year. I'd moved states. I hadn't seen her in months. I replied, DNA test. She wrote back, Sure. I want you humiliated in front of everyone. The clinic scheduled us for the same slot. Bree arrived with her mother, like backup. Her mom stared at me like I'd robbed a bank. 2 weeks later, 0% match. Bree didn't answer my calls, but she answered Instagram. She posted a crying selfie. Some men will do anything to escape responsibility. So my attorney did something I didn't expect. He filed an emergency motion and requested the court admonish her for public harassment and false claims. In court, the judge read the report and then looked directly at Bree. "Do you understand the impact of filing a false claim?" Bree started shaking her head fast. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." Her mother stood up and shouted, "He's lying!" The bailiff told her to sit. She didn't. The judge said very calmly, "If you continue, I will hold you in contempt." Bree's mother finally sat, whispering furious poison into Bree's ear. Then the judge asked Bree a simple question. "Who is the father?" Bree stared at the floor. Her mother hissed, loud enough for the microphones, "Don't you dare say his name!" That did it. People in the gallery turned. The judge's eyebrows lifted. Bree started crying harder, not sad, panicked, because everyone realized there was a name, and it wasn't mine. After court, my manager pulled me aside and said, "I'm sorry." I believed her. Bree walked past us in the hallway and didn't even look at me. She looked at the people watching, and I could see it. She wasn't afraid of what she did. She was afraid they knew. Story 9. When the DNA test came back 0%, I didn't celebrate. I just felt tired. Because the real damage was already done. My ex, Selena, had told my parents, my friends, the parents of the kids on my son's soccer team. She didn't just accuse me, she recruited a crowd. At the test appointment, she kept saying, "This is going to be so satisfying," like she was waiting for a humiliating reveal. Then the report arrived, 0.00%. I sent it to Selena with one sentence. "Stop." She replied, "You don't get to walk away." That's when I realized she wasn't mistaken. She was committed. In court, Selena didn't cry. She performed. She talked about betrayal, about how men abandon women, about how the system protects them. The judge listened, then read the DNA. Selena went still, like all her words had hit a wall. Then she turned to the judge and said, "I want another test." The judge. "On what basis?" Selena. "Because he's manipulative." My attorney stood and offered the documentation. Same lab, verified identity, witness sample collection. Judge. "Denied?" Selena's mask cracked. "So he just gets away with it?" Judge. "There is nothing to get away with. He is not the father." Selena's voice rose. "He promised me a family." I didn't respond, but my lawyer did. He played a voicemail. "Selena left me 2 weeks earlier. If you don't pay, I'll make sure everyone knows you're the kind of man who abandons babies." The gallery audibly reacted. A couple people gasped. Someone muttered, "That's blackmail." Selena looked around, realized the room wasn't hers anymore, and snapped, "You're all disgusting." On the way out, one of her friends, someone who'd unfriended me, caught my eye and mouthed, "I'm sorry." Selena saw it, and that's when she lost it, screaming at her own friend in the courthouse hallway because the one thing she couldn't tolerate was losing the audience she'd built. Story 10. My ex, Andrea, was a master of timing. She didn't tell me she was pregnant until the day my engagement photos went up. Within an hour, my phone was exploding. "Call her. Do the right thing." "How could you?" Andrea's message was short. "We need to talk. It's yours." My fiancé looked like she'd been slapped. I felt like the floor disappeared. I asked Andrea one question. "Will you do a DNA test?" She replied, "Of course. I want everyone to know what kind of man you are." She didn't just mean me. She meant my fiancé. She meant my family. She meant my future. The result came back. 0% match. I thought that would end it. Andrea posted anyway. "He's denying my baby." So my fiancé, who had been silent the whole time, did something I didn't expect. She commented once, "The court has the DNA report. 0%. Andrea deleted the post within minutes. Court day. Andrea arrived acting offended, like the building itself owed her sympathy. When the judge read 0%, Andrea didn't cry. She laughed, sharp and ugly. She said, "Fine, but he still ruined my life." My attorney asked for permission to submit Andrea's messages where she said, "If I can't have him, I'll make sure nobody does." The judge's face turned hard. "Ms. Soccer forward, your petition is dismissed. Any further harassment may result in sanctions." In the hallway, Andrea spotted my fiancé and walked straight toward her. I stepped between them. Andrea hissed, "Enjoy him. He'll leave you too." My fiancé didn't flinch. She held up her phone and said calmly, "Say it again. Louder." "For the camera." Andrea froze. People nearby turned their heads. Andrea backed up like she'd touched a hot stove, then spun on her heel and stormed out. For months, she'd tried to make me the public villain. But the moment the number became public, 0%, she couldn't control the story anymore. And it showed in every step she took away from that courthouse. Story 11. My ex, Raina, didn't announce the pregnancy to me first. She announced it to my mother on a Sunday, right before dinner. By the time I called her, my mom was crying, my stepdad was furious, and Raina was bravely holding it together in the background like she was narrating a documentary. I didn't want to stress you, Raina said, but the baby is yours and I'm trying to be mature. We'd been divorced 8 months. I was living with a roommate. She was already dating someone new. None of it added up. I said one word, DNA. She laughed softly. Sure, I can't wait to watch you eat your words. The lab appointment felt like a trap. Raina brought her sister. Her sister filmed me walking in. Just for memories, she said, smirking. 2 weeks later, the report came. 0.00% match. I forwarded it to Raina. She responded with a single message. You did something. Court day. The judge read the number out loud. Raina's face tightened, but she held posture, like she could outstare reality. Then my lawyer asked the court to address reimbursement and false filing. That's when Raina's control snapped. She stood up and yelled, "So he gets to humiliate me and walk away?" The judge blinked. "Ma'am, you filed a legal claim. Evidence disproved it." Raina spun toward the gallery and saw my mother sitting there. Mom looked stunned, like someone had rewired her brain mid-sentence. Raina tried to pivot into tears, but it came out like choking rage. "Your son used me," she screamed at my mom. My mom whispered, "Raina, why would you do this?" And Raina, without thinking, hissed back because he was moving on. Silence. Her sister stopped filming. Her lawyer put his face in his hands. Outside the courtroom, Raina chased me down the hall and said, "If you tell people I lied, I'll ruin you." A bailiff walked past and said, "Ma'am, keep walking." Raina froze. Because even the bailiff knew now. And once the courthouse knows, the whole town knows. Story 12. The DNA test wasn't my idea. It was my fiance's. When my ex, Holly, claimed the baby was mine, I was too stunned to speak. I kept doing math in my head like math could save me. Holly went straight for maximum damage. She emailed my HR department to make sure I had the paperwork. She tagged my sister in posts about deadbeat dads. My fiancé read it all and said calmly, "We do the test. Today." Holly agreed instantly and acted thrilled. She even joked at the clinic. Maybe now he'll stop pretending. Then the results came back. 0% match. Holly didn't back down. She went harder. She posted, "He paid for a fake test. Men with money always win." My attorney filed the results with the court and also filed a motion about harassment. Court day, Holly brought a friend who kept whispering encouragement like a coach. The judge read the report and said, "There is no paternity." Holly's friend whispered, "Wait, what?" Holly snapped, "They're lying." The judge asked if she had evidence. She didn't. Then my fiancée stood up. She wasn't even required to speak and asked permission to address the court. The judge allowed it. She said, voice steady, "Your Honor, Holly has contacted my employer, his employer, and my family, claiming this was confirmed. She has screenshots from social media where she bragged about locking him in." Holly's face twisted. "You snooped," my fiancé replied. "You broadcast." The judge looked at Holly like she was a child caught with her hand in the cookie jar. This is not a game. Outside, Holly tried to approach my fiancé and said, low, venomous, "Enjoy him. I can still destroy you." My fiancé raised her phone and said, "Say it again." Clearer. Holly realized she was being recorded and immediately changed voices. Sweet, trembling. "I'm just hurt." But 2 women walking by had heard the first voice. One of them said, "That was not hurt. That was a threat." Holly's eyes darted. She backed away like the hallway was closing in. For months, she'd controlled the story by being louder than everyone else. But once 0% existed, loud just sounded desperate. Story 13. My ex, Dana, filed for child support with a confidence that scared me. Like she had a card I didn't know about. She showed up to mediation with a folder, a witness, and a smirk. "I'm not here to argue," she said. "I'm here to collect." I asked for DNA testing. Dana rolled her eyes. "Of course. Let's embarrass you properly." The test came back 0% match, and I expected the case to vanish. Instead, Dana requested a hearing anyway. At court, the judge read the result and Dana said, "I don't accept that." The judge, "Acceptance is irrelevant. Evidence is evidence." Dana stood up and said, "He slept with me. I have texts. I have receipts." My attorney asked, "From what date?" Dana named a month where I was literally out of the country for work. The judge looked down at the record. My passport stamps and travel documentation had already been filed. Dana's face twitched. Then, because she couldn't help herself, she pulled out her phone and started showing the judge screenshots. The judge didn't take the phone. "Submit them properly," he said. Dana panicked and blurted, "Fine, it was before that." "Whatever, he knows," my lawyer gently asked. "So you're unsure of the timeline?" Dana snapped. "No, I'm sure he's the type." That word, type, did something to the room. People shifted. The judge's eyes narrowed like a door closing. Ma'am, the judge said, do you realize you are accusing him without evidence and with conclusive scientific proof to the contrary? Dana whispered, it's not fair. Then her witness, her own cousin, stood up and said, I can't do this. She told me to say he promised to pay. The court went dead silent. Dana whipped around. You traitor! The judge hit his gavel once. Enough. Outside, Dana tried to catch up to her cousin, screaming in the hallway while strangers stared. I walked past them, numb. While my attorney said quietly, that's the sound of her losing control. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt free. Story 4. When the test came back 0%, my ex didn't cry. She negotiated. Okay, Morgan said on the phone, voice calm. So it's not yours. But you can still help. You're a good person. You have a steady job. I stared at the report on my screen like it was a foreign language. Morgan, you told everyone it was mine. She sighed like I was being difficult. I was stressed. Don't make this ugly. 2 days later, I found out she'd told her family the test was inconclusive. Then she showed up at my apartment with a diaper bag and said, just meet him. You'll fall in love. I didn't even open the door. I told her to leave. She screamed loud enough for my neighbors to come out. He's refusing his child. I opened the door then, just enough to hand her a printed copy of the DNA result. 0%, I said. Go. She looked at it, blinked, and then her face hardened. You're enjoying this? She went straight to social media, painting me as cruel. She didn't post the report. She posted feelings. So I did the one thing she didn't expect. I said nothing publicly and filed a restraining order request based on her repeated harassment and attempts to force contact. In court, the judge referenced the DNA result and asked why she continued contacting me. Morgan smiled and said, because he knows the baby. He's just scared. My attorney played a voicemail. Morgan saying, if you don't play dad, I'll make sure your new girlfriend leaves. Morgan's smile melted. The judge's expression turned icy. You are attempting coercion. Outside, Morgan followed me to the elevator and whispered, you're going to regret humiliating me. The elevator doors opened and 2 women stepped out, neighbors from my building. They'd heard her screaming days earlier. One of them looked at Morgan and said, are you the one who keeps yelling about the baby that isn't his? Morgan froze. Her eyes flicked to me like she wanted me to rescue her from her own mess. I stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. Through the narrowing gap, I saw it. For the first time, she wasn't angry at me. She was terrified of the audience she'd created. Story 15. I learned the DNA result didn't just change my life. It changed my friend group. My ex, Veronica, made the pregnancy claim at a party. A party. She stood up with a plastic cup in her hand and said, since we're all friends here, you should know he's going to be a father. Everyone turned to me like I was supposed to smile. I felt my face go hot. That's not true, I said. We're divorced. Veronica's eyes glittered. Divorced men can still make babies. The room laughed nervously. Someone patted my shoulder like I'd just been roasted. I asked for a DNA test the next day. Veronica said, absolutely. I want the results framed. 2 weeks later, 0% match. I didn't even know how to tell people. I didn't want to be the guy who brings lab reports to social gatherings. But Veronica beat me to it again. She texted the group chat. He's claiming it's not his. Classic. So I posted the screenshot of the official report. Just the header and the number. 0%. The chat went silent for 10 minutes. Then messages started popping. Wait, 0? Not even like 10? Did you lie to us? To her, Veronica replied, this is private. Stop. The irony nearly took me out. At the next get-together, people didn't greet her the same. They were polite, but distant, like they'd touched something sticky. Veronica tried to joke. Nobody laughed. Finally, she snapped and said, you're all judging me over a test. One friend, her loudest supporter, said calmly, no, we're judging you for making it public first. Veronica looked around and realized her usual tricks, tears, sarcasm, anger, weren't working. So she went for the nuclear option. Fine. He cheated on me the whole marriage anyway. My friend stared and said, we've known him since high school. What are you doing? Veronica's mouth opened and closed like she couldn't decide which lie to deploy next. That was the moment everyone understood. The baby wasn't the only thing she'd fabricated. She didn't storm out. She waited, like someone might chase her. Nobody did. And I sat there with a 0% report on my phone, realizing the real test had been the one she gave the room. Story 16. My ex, Claire, didn't tell me she was pregnant. She told my pastor. Then my pastor called me, voice heavy, like he was about to deliver bad news from a hospital. Son, he said, we need to talk about your responsibilities. I showed up to church that Sunday and felt every pair of eyes on me. Claire sat 3 rows ahead with her hand on her stomach like a prop. After service, she walked up smiling. I didn't want to shame you, she whispered. I just needed support. Support. Right. I said, we do a DNA test before anyone uses the word father again. She agreed instantly, too calm. Sure. God loves truth, she said. The results came back. 0% match. I thought she'd at least go quiet. Instead, she told people the lab made a mistake and that I was hiding behind paperwork, so I asked my attorney to file it with the court. Court day, Claire arrived holding a tiny pair of baby socks. She handed them to her lawyer like Exhibit A. The judge didn't even glance at them. He read the report. Probability of paternity, 0. Claire's eyes widened. Not in sadness, in anger. She looked at the judge and said, so you're going to let him abandon a baby? The judge replied evenly, he cannot abandon a child that is not his. Outside, Claire tried to intercept me by the courthouse doors. Don't you dare show this to anyone, she hissed. I didn't answer. I just walked. That evening, someone in the church group chat posted, we should pray for Claire and for the child's real father to step up. A second message followed. Also, please stop calling ___ the father. The court confirmed he is not. Claire replied with a single line, who posted that? And in that moment I realized she wasn't scared of truth. She was scared of losing control of the room she'd built around her. Story 17. My ex, Natalie, had a talent for turning private conflict into public entertainment. She treated our divorce like a season finale. When she got pregnant, she sent me one message, you're not escaping this. Then she invited my sister to lunch and cried into a napkin about how I was already abandoning our baby. My sister came home furious at me. I said, Natalie, we haven't been together. She replied, you always rewrite history. I asked for DNA testing. She agreed and told everyone, he's forcing me to prove my baby is real. The test came back 0% match. I assumed she'd be mortified. Instead, she posted a long rant about how DNA tests are used to control women. She didn't mention the result, just the outrage. So my lawyer filed the result with the court and asked for dismissal and costs. Court day, Natalie walked in with 2 friends and a stack of tissues. Judge reads, 0%. Natalie's friends looked at each other like they'd been handed the wrong script. Natalie stood up and said, he pressured me into this test, Judge. Did he also pressure you into filing a petition? Natalie blinked. I filed because he is the father, Judge. The evidence disagrees. My lawyer asked permission to play a voicemail. The judge allowed it. Natalie's voice filled the courtroom. If you don't pay me, I'll make sure everyone knows you're trash. You could feel the gallery tighten. Natalie's face went bright red. She yelled, that was taken out of context, Judge. Context does not change the words. Outside, Natalie tried to hug me, like physical contact could reset reality. We can still be a family, she whispered fast. I stepped back. Her friends watched it happen. One of them said quietly, Nat, you lied. Natalie turned on her like a snake. Don't start. But it had already started. Because 0% doesn't argue. It just ends things. Story 18. I found out about the pregnancy at my nephew's birthday party. My ex, Brooke, arrived uninvited, walked straight to my sister and said loudly, I didn't want him to find out like this, but he left me pregnant. Kids were running around with cake on their faces while adults froze mid-conversation. My sister stared at me like I'd just confessed to a crime. Brooke did the sad smile thing. It's okay. I'll handle it. I always do. Later, I pulled her aside and said, DNA test. Now. Brooke's eyes narrowed. So you're going to deny your own child in front of your family? I'm going to deny your lie, I said. She agreed, but she made sure everyone knew. She texted my entire family. He's demanding a DNA test because he's ashamed. When the result came back 0% match, I sent it to my sister first. My sister replied, I need to sit down. Court day, Brooke tried to walk in with my mother as if they were allies. My mom didn't move. The judge read 0%, and Brooke's face went blank. Then she laughed. This brittle laugh like glass cracking. Okay, she said, but he still owes me. The judge looked over his glasses. Owes you what? Brooke snapped. For wasting my time. My attorney asked for costs due to false filing. The judge granted it. Outside, Brooke stormed into the hallway where my family was waiting and shouted, he paid off the test. My sister held up her phone and said, Brooke, stop. The lab is legitimate. You humiliated yourself. Brooke's eyes widened. She wasn't used to my sister speaking back. Then my mom, who had been silent for months, said quietly, leave my son alone. Brooke looked at my mom like she'd been stabbed. She opened her mouth to cry, but it came out as a scream. And in front of my entire family, at a courthouse, after a birthday party ambush, she finally realized her favorite stage was no longer hers. Story 19. My ex, Aaron, didn't want child support. She wanted leverage. She called me and said, "If you want to see your daughter from our marriage again, you'll cooperate." That's when I knew she wasn't confused. She was calculating. She filed the paternity claim fast, then started sending me demands. "You'll move back. You'll pay my rent. You'll stop dating." I said, "DNA test," Aaron replied. "Sure. I want it official when you're trapped." The result came back 0% match. I thought that would end it. But Aaron immediately texted, "So we'll just tell the judge the lab messed up." Court day, Aaron walked in like she was still holding the remote control. Judge reads, 0%. Aaron didn't cry. She leaned forward and said, "Then I want him held in contempt for refusing to help." The judge paused. "Help with what?" "He is not the father." Aaron's voice sharpened. "He promised me things." My attorney submitted a string of Aaron's messages where she wrote, "If you don't pay, I'll keep your daughter from you." The judge's face changed. "That is coercion." Aaron's eyes widened. "It's parenting." Judge, "No, it is illegal." Outside, Aaron tried to chase me down the stairs, pleading now. "Please. If people find out I lied, I'll lose everything." I looked at her and said, "You already told everyone I was the father." She whispered, "I thought you'd fold." And there it was. Not confusion, not a mistake, a strategy that failed. When we walked past the waiting area, I heard someone say, "That's the 0% case." Aaron heard it too. She flinched like she'd been slapped. Because the moment 0% becomes public, leverage becomes embarrassment. Story 20. My ex Lila didn't even wait for the test to run. She pre-sold the ending. She told mutual friends I'd finally have to grow up. She told my boss I might need parental flexibility. She told my new girlfriend I was hiding a baby. I requested DNA testing immediately. Lila agreed and said, "Good. I want witnesses." At the clinic, she smiled at the receptionist and announced, "He's nervous because he knows." The receptionist just nodded politely. But I saw the pity in her eyes, and it made my stomach turn. When the report came back 0% match, I felt like my lungs finally worked again. Lila reacted by going silent, until I noticed she'd blocked me everywhere. Then my new girlfriend got a message from a random number. "He tricked you. He's a deadbeat." That's when I realized Lila wasn't done. She was regrouping. In court, the judge read the result. Lila stared forward like she didn't hear English. Judge, petition dismissed. Lila finally spoke. "So what do I tell people?" The judge looked up, surprised. "You tell them the truth." Lila's face twisted. "They'll think I'm a liar." The judge replied, flat, "Because you were." Outside, Lila approached my girlfriend and said, "Sweet as sugar, I'm sorry you got dragged into this." My girlfriend didn't respond. She just held up her phone and showed Lila the anonymous texts. Lila's smile slipped. "That wasn't me," she lied instantly. My girlfriend said, "Then swear in front of him and the officer standing right there." Lila glanced at the officer, and her eyes darted away. She walked off quickly, shoulders stiff, like the ground was suddenly watching her. And for the first time, I understood. Her biggest fear wasn't losing. It was losing the story she'd been telling everyone. Story 21. My ex Kelsey didn't show up with a baby bump. She showed up with an invoice. She emailed me a spreadsheet titled, "Your Responsibilities," with tabs for diapers, daycare, and back pay. At the bottom, she added, "If you don't respond, I'll involve your family." 2 hours later, my dad called. "What is this about you refusing to support a child?" Kelsey had forwarded the spreadsheet to him. I said, "Dad, we do a DNA test." Kelsey replied to my text with a smiley face. "Sure. Can't wait." At the clinic, she took selfies in the waiting room, like she was documenting a victory march. "Accountability," she captioned it. When the results came back, 0.00% match, I felt sick. Not relieved. Sick. Because she'd already lit the match and walked away from the fire. I told her privately first. Her response, "That lab is trash. Do another," I said. "Court will accept this." Stop. Court day, the judge read the report, and Kelsey tried to argue like reality was negotiable. "He's the only one it could be." The judge asked, "Are you stating under oath there were no other potential fathers?" Kelsey hesitated, just a beat too long. My attorney said, "Your Honor, we also have Kelsey's text. I chose him because he won't fight." Kelsey's jaw dropped. "That's out of context." The judge's voice went sharp. "Context will not change a false filing." Outside, Kelsey spotted my dad and rushed him, crying, "I'm sorry. I'm so embarrassed." My dad, who is normally gentle, stepped back and said, "You embarrassed my son first." Kelsey's tears vanished. "So you're against me too?" And in that moment, I realized she wasn't grieving a mistake. She was furious her leverage had turned into a public stain. Story 22. My ex Megan tried to weaponize the PTA. We share one child from our marriage, so I still see her at school events. One day she cornered me in the parking lot and said, "I'm pregnant again. It's yours." I laughed without meaning to. Megan, we haven't been together. Her eyes narrowed. You're going to look so evil when the truth comes out. A week later, the school parent group chat had a message from Megan's friend. Please pray for Megan. The father is being difficult. Suddenly, moms were side-eyeing me at pickup like I was a deadbeat in a documentary. I requested DNA testing immediately. Megan agreed and told people I was forcing her to jump through hoops. The results came back 0% match. I thought the chat would correct itself. Nope. Megan posted, "He's using science to dodge responsibility." So I sent one message into the group chat. Court confirmed DNA test. 0%. No insults. No rant. Just the number. The chat went silent. Then someone replied, "Wait, 0%? Another. So why did you say it was him?" Megan replied, "This is private." A mom responded, "You made it public when you asked us to pray." Court day. Megan showed up angry, not ashamed. The judge read the report, dismissed the petition, and warned her about harassment. Outside, Megan hissed at me. "You ruined my reputation," I said. "You rented it out and expected me to pay the bill." She opened her mouth to scream, but a teacher walked by and said, "Megan, please keep your voice down." Megan froze. Because now she knew. The school heard. And the school never forgets. Story 23. My ex, Sasha, didn't want child support through court. She wanted it through fear. She texted me, "Pay me $800 a month or I'll tell everyone you abandoned your baby." I replied, "DNA test." She sent back, "You're disgusting." Then she posted a black and white photo of herself holding her stomach with the caption, "Some men leave when it matters most." People I hadn't spoken to in years messaged me, "Is this true?" I kept my cool. I filed for DNA testing through my attorney and stayed silent. When the results arrived, 0.00% match, I expected Sasha to disappear. Instead, she called me laughing. "So what? You still owe me for what you put me through." That's when my lawyer said, "We're going to court for extortion." Court day, the judge read the DNA result first, then reviewed Sasha's texts. Sasha tried to explain it away. I was emotional. "Judge, emotional people don't set monthly rates." The gallery made that little oof sound. Sasha's face flushed. She snapped, "He ruined my life." My attorney played an audio clip Sasha left me. "I'll make your mom hate you. I'll make your job hate you." The judge's voice turned icy. "This is harassment and coercion." Outside, Sasha stood in the hallway and looked around like she was hunting for sympathy. A woman near the elevator, someone Sasha had hugged earlier, said quietly to her friend, "So she lied and then tried to charge him?" Sasha heard it. Her head whipped around. She didn't shout at me. She shouted at the woman, "Mind your business." But it was already everybody's business. Because Sasha had sold it to the public for attention and got caught trying to invoice it for money. Story 24. My ex, Tina, tried to trap me with nostalgia. She called late at night crying, saying she missed us. 2 weeks later, she texted, "I'm pregnant. It's yours." God brought us back. I felt my stomach drop, because part of me wondered if I'd been stupid enough to fall for it. Then I checked my calendar. The timing was impossible. I asked for a DNA test. Tina replied, "Sure, but when it's yours, you're marrying me again." At the clinic, she held my hand in the waiting room like we were a couple. When I pulled away, she whispered, "Don't make a scene." 2 weeks later, 0% match. I sent it to her and said, "Do not contact me again." Tina showed up at my workplace the next day, crying in the lobby. "He won't even talk to me about our baby," she told the receptionist. So yes, it went to court. In front of the judge, Tina tried to plead, "I believed it was him." The judge asked, "Based on what?" Tina hesitated. "Based on how we were." My attorney submitted Tina's message. "When you see the test, you'll have no choice." The judge read it, then looked up. "That is not belief. That is intent." Outside, Tina cornered me near the stairs. "If people find out, I'll be humiliated," she whispered. I said, "You already humiliated me at my job." Tina's eyes flashed. "So you're doing this for revenge?" "No," I said. "I'm doing this for peace." She scoffed like peace was an insult. Then she looked around and saw people staring. Tina lowered her voice instantly and smiled at strangers, pretending she was fine. But her hands were shaking. Because she knew. The truth had an audience now. Story 25. My ex, Brianna, picked the worst possible place to accuse me. A wedding. We were both invited because we'd been friends with the couple for years. I showed up with my new girlfriend. Brianna showed up alone. Halfway through the reception, she walked up to our table and said, loud enough for nearby guests, "We need to talk about the baby." My girlfriend's face drained. The bride's mother turned around. The DJ kept playing like nothing was happening. I stood up and said quietly, "Not here." Brianna smiled and said, "Oh, you don't want everyone to know?" I said, "DNA test." Brianna laughed. "Sure, I want it announced." And because she's Brianna, She went straight to the couple the next morning and cried about how I ruined her life. The DNA result came back. 0% match. I sent it to the groom first, because he'd looked me in the eyes and asked if it was true. He replied, "I'm sorry." She told us she was sure. Brianna didn't apologize. She texted me, "We can still tell people you helped me. It'll look good for you." Court day, the judge read 0%, dismissed everything, and warned Brianna about further harassment. 2 weeks later was another friend's party. Small group, same circle. Brianna walked in like nothing happened. Someone asked casually, "So, what was the deal with the baby thing?" Brianna smiled too wide. "Miscommunication," the groom said, flat. "The test was 0. Brianna's smile cracked. "Why would you say that?" He shrugged. "Because you said it at my wedding." The room went quiet, and Brianna's eyes flicked from face to face, searching for the old sympathy. She didn't find it. And for the first time, she couldn't talk her way out, because the number didn't change no matter how pretty the venue was.